What's going on, people? In today's episode, we are at episode number 5 of the Rate and Climb and at rating 612. So, the aim of this series is to see how high of a rating I can get to as a beginner player. So without further ado, let us start the 10-minute game. And we've got one G3. So this is fighting for the light squares in the centre, because the bishop's got a free encounter itself, but I'm inclined to play something along, well, if we can, along these lines. So I like this setup from black because it gives us a lot to think about right out of the gate. So we can fianchetto our bishop on the same side, helping us get castled like the opponent is. Opponent's quite a fast player, already going for the fianchetto on this side, but I don't mind having the knight trade off for the bishop. And hopefully we can get this bishop out, and we don't want to block the bishop out, do we? So we don't want the bishop to be stuck on one of these two squares with a move like this. So I'm considering keeping the bishop on the inside with the bishop move like this, taking up one of these two squares for in the future, possibly defending this pawn. In fact, I'm gonna let's think about this for a minute. Bishop to here just makes sense. It prevents e4, which is contesting the centre. If this knight moves and just drop, well, we can even play this. No, I don't want to get the bishop trapped with, like, you know, a silly move like this. So I think pushing, bring the rook over and pushing this pawn up to the centre, gaining a bit more centre space further down the game, is probably one of the best moves. Of course we could have played this move, but I don't want to move the two defenders off this in case. So opponent is going to go for e4. And I think that's my key to play e5. Now I'm feeling more inclined to drop back and just, no, that hangs this pawn, so I'm going to have to take, and then I can drop back to the d file with the bishop. I could even take. I've got two defenders and only one. I've got two attackers and only one defender. Let's take with the knight. Doesn't hang anything, does it? This pawn ends up hanging in that line. So I'll show you what I mean. This takes. Or we could even go for, let's say knight takes here, queen takes here, rook takes here, knight takes here. Then this pawn would be hanging in that end sequence. No, it wouldn't, because I'm defending it with this. Let's do this. So this is a nice tactic to say, although it will be double attacked, but it's double defended. So that's fine. we can take back with the bishop, but it's not good to trade off the thein-countered bishop, so I think that move would have been better, to be honest. We're already nearly 3 minutes lower than our opponent on the clock, so we need to be quite quick on time. So let's look for a possible move from our opponent. This doesn't work. Let's say trades here. Trades here. This doesn't work because I can take here. And then there's a lot of trades going on. So they will also lose their thein-countered bishop if they decide to trade. Whereas it does depend who's in a better situation in this place. Because my rook will end up here. Oh no. Black could take, I'd have to take the queen first. Okay. Yeah, so black's trying to use their tactics against me. But I can take this pawn. Black's going to take this pawn, but I can take this pawn instead of trading the thein-countered bishops. And that just means if black takes with the knight, we can keep our thein-countered bishop. And if black takes with the bishop, then I feel inclined to play... Now I'm thinking about this pawn though. So let's take this bishop. Knight has to move. And then we can take the... So if we take this, knight takes here, then we can take here. I'm not sure if that's the most principled line, but... No, it's not, because we're also hanging this pawn here that's trapping in the bishop. So we're going to have to trade bishops. Whoa. Yeah, it's difficult, man. We're going to have to trade bishops and just bring our knight out to one of these squares. Let's just target the knight instantly. If not, knight's going to have to jump back to one of these squares. Okay, knight takes. And then we can double our rooks. How can we go after this structure? Now, this move rings a bell, but I think doing it from this... Yeah, I don't know. I think just putting one of the rooks here. But this is going to be E. Yeah, rook e7's not a great move. I shouldn't have allowed that by the opponent, to be honest. Although this does blunder a pawn temporarily, I think. Still thinking about this move. I could play king f8 and build the nice long diagonal that the opponent tried to build, but on this side. Keeping these three intact. Opponent's going to play a move like rook to here. Wow. So we could... I don't want to give up the rook. Is it worth trading? I'm going to play here and prevent the opponent moving this pawn. This move kind of... Well, I don't want to get trapped in on this side. And this move kind of prevents them from moving any of these pawns, yeah. So I can play this move. No, I can't. I can play this move, though. So I'm thinking here and here, and if en passant, then I can take back, and I've still got the 2 pawns on the end file versus these two. So, and then if this takes, I can take here. That leaves this pawn running free, which would have been a better move to play. To be honest, I'm going to play it now. Yeah, opponent realizes. So I'm going to go for it. And if takes here, then oh no, I don't want this move to happen, so I'm thinking this here. Then what can the opponent do? Go here. This was a mistake. I don't want to drop this C pawn, but looks unfortunate. I'm going to have to make this move, and if opponent takes here, then I'm going to have to play something quickly. This is completely losing. I don't know why I've allowed this. Yeah. So opponent's going to have to move up here. They could just start pushing the pawn. Then I have to blockade. Let's continue calculating. Trade off a set of rooks makes it easy. Then I can go here, attack this pawn. Opponent can come back here. Thankfully we're getting away with this. I have to go back. I'm going to go here, preventing this move. Just bring the king up. Opponent's now rushing, which I don't think is the right way to go about this. I need to bring the king. Opponent realizes. Opponent can't get through here anyway. If opponent doesn't take this, wow. Oh no. Yeah, opponent's winning. This move just wins. No. Wow, opponents going for other means of winning. This wins. Why doesn't it? Why doesn't this move win? I think we're getting away with it here. The opponent can play this now, obviously, but I've got this pawn running free down the board. I can even play this move. No, I can't. Yeah, I've completely lost. I'm thinking, because one of these is about to become a queen. So I'm thinking, here, up to here, I'm going to have to play it quickly. This is just destroying. If opponent finds queen c5, I might as well resign. Or a different way. We lose 27 points for this game, which is pretty sad. What am I doing? This is awfully sad. So I had a suggestion in one of my videos in the comment section to play 15-minute game, 15-10 instead of a instead of a 10-minute game. Very discord, just making terrible moves. And now I get even more points for a loss than I do for a win, so I'm gonna have to win 2 games again to cover up the fact that I lost. I'm just going for a weird scotch. This is not even the right move. It says now it's an Italian game, which, you know. Hopefully the opponent doesn't find bishop c5. So now I'm going to have to play 2 more games to cover up the fact that I had a loss. I can take the rating down from 612 to 585. And we can add 1 more loss to the board. So what are these 1-move threats? That's such an awful move. This is stressful. I'm just going to go into an endgame. I have more time to think now, but I'm not using it. I'm liking the look of this move because opponent has to play something ridiculous which they've just blundered. I don't mind giving up this pawn, to be honest, as long as I get this one back in return. But opponent might play this move. So if they do, I'll play f3. I didn't want to play this move because it just runs into this. I could take back with the pawn, yeah, but I feel like castling long to pin the bishop. So we want to put the pawn here, so we can play it to this square to win back the so we can win back the knight. So to get above 6-12, we're going to have to win 2 games. And the amount of points we're getting per win is slowly going down. Although the opponent is significantly lower rated than us. 532 the opponent is. Hikaru makes it look a lot easier than it is. In his speed runs. In his disrespect speed runs. I think f3 first, then I can move the knight out. Because if the bishop moves, I can get a check. So let's just imagine the rook coming over. So let's move the knight out. Bishop moves. I can get a check. Bishop's gonna have to go this way. So king's gonna have to go this way. Then we can just win the pawn. No, we can't. Bishop and rook protect it. The bishop and the rook will protect the pawn. But we can win this. No, we can't. Yeah, I think it's better to castle first. Because then this move comes with a tempi. So we're threatening this fork. But we're also threatening to win the pawn. Well, we're not, because now the rook defends it, but the knight will also defend it. if, say for example, I don't know, black finds a mean to defend the square. Like now, playing bishop c7, which they don't do. So we win the... because the knight can't jump back to the square that it was intended to protect this bishop, so king's gonna have to move. And then I think it's better to just hit this fork on these two pieces if the king moves. The king can move either way, but this way comes with check. So king would have to move to hit this square. And in that case we can just take the bishop. Because we've got two attackers. Yeah, this is now a winning position for me. And we can even threaten to take the pawn. So king moves up, which gives us this fork. So we're finally getting in position. We're playing someone from Qatar. This is also with check, unfortunately for the opponent. But I think they're going after the knight. But if they go after the knight, then we can win the... So we're threatening these two squares, but if the opponent moves here, then we can take the... yeah, so what's going on here? Now we're threatening their knight as well, so they, you know, not looking good for the opponent really, is it? Then we can get our knight back out as well. We're also threatening to take here, but not if we block our path. That's if the queen stays, the king, sorry, stays on this square. So after a sad loss, somehow letting our opponent push all the pawns down to the bottom of the board, we are finally making a comeback. And this move just looks very miserable. The opponent has to block, and we can take this pawn. But they can take our knight first, and you know, we can, yeah, so we can trade off the knight for the bishop. This move is always playable, but then I can play this move, and then they can play this move, blocking me in, but then I can take the bishop, because the bishop's got no squares to go to. This square I can take, this square I can't take. Yeah, I didn't think about this. Neither did the opponent really, but let's see if they find it. Let's see if they find it. This is, I think, one of the better moves, to be honest. Blocking off my sight from the knight and defending this pawn in the centre. But I think we might be winning either this pawn or this pawn. Or this pawn. What? Now we just win the knight. Yeah, this is very unfortunate for our opponent. We're left with two bishops and they're left with one bishop. We've currently got three pieces, but obviously one's under threat. So after the start to this event, to this rating climb, we're off to a better this is with check, so the only square the king can go to is this square or this square. Is there any way for me to block these two squares off? Not really. I don't know if I want to take this pawn first and then go here, or if I just want to take this pawn. Because this one's blockaded. This one can't really do much today because I can just take back. So I think I prefer to take this pawn because this move runs into the takes. No, I don't think that's too much worth it, because then we can win it back with the check. So if that move is impossible, my bad. So we're threatening to win this pawn, and if king walks backwards, then we can just take this pawn with check. Winning more tempi. I'm trying to find a way. So say for example, bishop to here. Then yeah, I didn't take the right pawn. Although this is also the wrong move. The bishop should be defending. The bishop should be defending. This is with check. This is goodbye to our opponent. They should resign. It must be very hot in Qatar to make blunders like this, because their brain is not working properly, to say the least. Opponent's very sad. So they've got to go to this square, and then I can just take this pawn's defend bishop. I can also just bring in the other rook to the game. Wow. Is the opponent trying to... No, the opponent can't run down here. I feel inclined to play a move like this, then bring in the rook over here, and then trying to go for a checkmate. I'm pretty sure this is checkmate. Oh, well now they've got a square to run to, I think. And it defends. It defends from my idea. So we won that game. That takes us... Opponent wants a rematch. I'm going to decline politely. I don't know how you decline politely in this game. But that takes us up to 6 wins and 2 losses. And puts our current rating at 606. Which I can change. So let's have one more game and try and get above the 612 rating. We get 25 points for a win here. And 22 for a loss, which unfortunately in the last game, it was 29 for a loss, I think it was, and 21 or 22. And we get 25 for a... Strange. So, I know 2 moves from this position. I know bishop to c4 is the Italian game. And I know bishop to c5. Sorry, I know 3 moves. This is also the Scotch. So we've got bishop c4, bishop b5, or d4. So one's the Scotch, one's the Roy Lopez, or the Spanish, and one's the Italian. So we've got Scotch, Italian, or Roy Lopez. Now, I cannot remember much about the Italian apart from the fact that it's a very long, complicated game. So we will go for a Scotch. We'll go for a Scotch and see how it treats us, you know. Opponent's playing a closed Scotch. Now, this makes me want to pin the knight, trying to win it back on the next move. And this has now changed to the Roy Lopez old Steinitz defense. So, if we get this move, I can drop the bishop back, and then the opponent has to overextend their king side in order for me to pin the knight. But then I can just take here. I mean, there's a lot of moves on the board, to be fair. I could take this knight, take this pawn, and after it takes back, I can take back with the knight. Sorry, with the knight. So it goes takes, 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 and probably takes, takes. Hopefully I could be the one to trade queens in this position, because then knight here comes with a threat. I think that's actually the repertoire. So if this, I can just drop the, I can just take the knight and then take the pawn, and after pawn takes, I can take the queen. And once I take the queen, I can take this pawn, and that comes with a threat on this. So either knight to here, or bishop to here, or queen or king back, which is all very confusing, but let's say it's bishop out. Then we can just castle. Do we want to castle first, or do we want to develop? So we could develop here, targeting this pawn long term. Or we could put the bishop on this diagonal, giving us more scope down the future. Well, where would our opponent develop to? They can only develop here if we put the bishop on this square. Opponent is already going into auto resign, which is when you haven't made a move for so long, you could possibly resign. Opponent must be a very long classical game of chess kind of player. I remember when I first got my chessboard, I had to invite a lot of people round to play chess. And I remember on the first move I'd play pawn to e4, and a lot of my friends didn't quite know how to play chess that well, so they'd look at the board for a good 15-20 seconds. And just looking over here now, me and my opponent both played pawn e4 in 0.1 seconds, which is just, makes me laugh of how quickly your pattern recognition can become after playing for a little while. Please don't let the opponent auto-resign. This is going to be a really sad conclusion to the video. We just sat here and talked about all these great lines, and none of them are going to come into fruition. Oh well. Well, that takes us to 631 with now 7 wins. So 7 wins, 2 losses, and we are 631, sorry. And that means that this is the end of this episode. Now, real quick, just to show you what I was on about, let's see if I can load up the analysis board. It's slightly off to the right, but you can still see what I'm on about here, because we're on this side of the board, not the right side of the board. So I was thinking, if this move happened, then I can take here, opponent has to take back, then I can take here, opponent takes back, then I can trade queens, and after black takes, I've got this move here, which is threatening this. So I was thinking about this line, then putting the bishop here, then the bishop's only got, well, it's got 2 squares to go to be fair. Yeah, the bishop's actually got a few squares to go to. It wouldn't really go to this square, because check just comes with this. So the better move would probably be to put the bishop on this square, and it just recommends that I take this pawn instead. Oh, it comes with a pawn fork. That's amazing. I didn't even notice that, to be fair. So we could take either this pawn or this pawn. So let's say, for example, we take this pawn. Yeah, this line's already winning. King back over here. Then it wants knight back to b3. And then opponent plays c5. Knight. Why would that happen? You could play a really annoying move, like, I don't know. The engine knows best. The engine knows best. Anyway, guys, that's enough for me from this episode. I will catch you in the next one. Take it easy and stay positive. Peace.